I wish I could sit up here and say I have some inside source and knowledge on this guy, but I don't. It's plain and simple. I've told you guys this for the past 2 years. Will Levis ain't that good. Now, as far as it goes for all these people hyping him up and telling him he was going to be a first-round pick, he was going to be a top 10 NFL pick, that is a shame. Sadly and unfortunately, one of my favorite, and I'm talking about my absolute favorite days of the year, it has came to an end. But just like they say, all good things in this life, it does got to come to an end. If you don't know what I'm talking about or what I'm referring to, I'm talking about the NFL Draft Day 1. Now, don't get me wrong, I like Day 2 and Day 3 of the NFL Draft, but there's just something about Day 1 that I can't get enough of. It reminds me a lot of Week 1 of college football. There's a lot of excitement, a ton of hype. We've been talking about it for months and months and months. But at the same time, we don't necessarily know what to expect. At the same time, yeah, we've hyped it up and we want to know what to expect, but we know there's going to be a curveball thrown at any given moment in time. So for that reason right there alone, that's why I love Day 1 of the NFL Draft. Now, obviously, with that being said, if you haven't figured it out by now, we're going to talk about the NFL Draft. We are going to discuss a lot of these picks. I'm going to let you know where I think teams did good, where they did bad, but I think it goes without being said, the main topic of this video is no other than Will Levis himself. That had to be what everybody was talking about the most after the draft because he showed up to it and he didn't get drafted. As a man myself, I've been down bad. I've been at the lowest of lows, but that right there is straight up embarrassing. I wouldn't wish that upon my worst enemy. That right there, what happened to Will Levis last night is one of the most humiliating things any human can go through. You are getting hyped up for 5 straight months. Your ego's through the roof. Everybody's telling you you are a lock, not just to be a first round pick, but a top 10 pick. You're already telling yourself, hey man, I'm going to make millions and millions of dollars. You're thinking about, hey, what am I going to do when I get drafted? Am I going to hug my mom? Am I going to hug my dad, my girlfriend? This, that. You pick out an amazing suit. You do all that. And you don't even get drafted. I don't care what anybody says. That's got to be one of the most humiliating things ever. But, and I have a big but, there's 2 types of people that aren't shocked about this whatsoever. And those 2 types of people that aren't shocked by this whatsoever or shouldn't be shocked are people who either A, watch the channel Matt Be Great, or B, actually watch college football. And just like my man Pedro said on Twitter referring to Will Levis going undrafted, hey, Matt Be Great, looks like the NFL scouts were watching your videos, LOL. And I see where you're coming from, but no. I just think these NFL scouts have common sense. I just think these NFL scouts actually watch Will Levis and they could understand he ain't that great of a quarterback. All right. Let me calm down. We got a lot to talk about. I don't want to get too far ahead of myself. You already know how it goes. If you like college football, some NFL content, just sports content in general, consider joining our amazing community. We would love to have you here. If you don't want to subscribe, that is cool too. All right, Matt, blah, blah, blah. Shut the crap up now. Without further ado, let's get into it. We are not wasting any time whatsoever. I got a busy day on my hands. I respect your time. I hope you respect my time. I know you guys, you got a life. You're busy. Let's get straight into it, starting with number 1. The game plan of this video, relatively simple. We're going to start with 1 and work our way down. And I would love nothing more than to sit up here and hype up and talk about Bryce Young for 15 minutes, but I'm not going to do that. You know why I'm not going to do that? Because I've done it before. Is anybody shocked about Bryce Young going number 1? You shouldn't be. He was the best quarterback in this draft. Me personally, I had Bryce Young QB1A and I had CJ Stroud QB1B. What does that mean? Well, it means Bryce Young, CJ Stroud, they're 1A, 1B. I don't think you could have went wrong with either one. It just really depended on what type of quarterback you wanted. That's it. So as far as it goes for Bryce Young, CJ Stroud going 1 and 2, I have nothing to say. I expected that and that's what should have happened. I'm wishing the best of luck. But here's where things start to heat up quickly. I'm watching it. I'm going, wait a minute. What's going on here? The Houston Texans? They're trading up to number 3? I immediately knew, yep, they're getting Will Anderson Jr. That is the only reason you trade up to number 3, to get Will Anderson. You're talking about a generational talent. You're talking about one of the highest motors in the draft. You can't go wrong with this kid because he's not going to cause any problems off the field and he's one of the hardest workers out there. Great pick. And believe it or not, between me and you, somehow, some way, the Houston Texans, they didn't screw it up. I know, right? Doesn't make sense to me either. You know what? Hold on. Clap it up. Just clap it up for the Texans. They didn't screw it up. Granted, they're still going to go 3-14 next year, but at least they did okay in the draft. Continuing to go down here, gets a little interesting. At number 4, the Colts take Anthony Richardson. What do y'all think about that? For me personally, heading into the draft, here's my top 5 quarterbacks. Number 1, I had Bryce Young. Number 2, CJ Stroud. Number 3, I had Anthony Richardson. Number 4, Hendon Hooker. Number 5, Will Levis. Do I personally, and this is my opinion, I'm entitled to my own opinion, you're entitled to yours. Let me know down below because we're going to talk about this in the days to come. Do I think taking AR Anthony Richardson at number 4 is a bad pick? No, I do not. But, and I have another big but, would I take him in the top 15? No, I would not. A little bit too risky for me. When I'm selecting a quarterback and I have a pick in the top 15, and not just quarterback, but any position, I'm selecting a guy that I feel like could play tomorrow and win me a game or start. As to where it stands right now with Anthony Richardson, he can't do that. He doesn't check all those boxes. CJ Stroud does, Bryce Young does, but Anthony Richardson does not. I don't think it's a terrible pick, but I wouldn't have done it. Regardless of that, if I'm a Colts fan, I'm excited because you don't know what you're going to get. This is either going to go two ways. We're going to look back in 6 years and go, man, they stole this guy at number 4, or we're going to look back in 6 years and go, I can't believe they picked this guy. Taking AR at number 4 is the definition of high risk, high reward. At number 5, we got Devin Witherspoon. Is it Devon or Devin? I can't remember. Sorry about that. I'm just going to say it's Devin. Great pickup for the Seahawks. This isn't an A+ pickup, but this is right at an A. I'd put it above an A-. You couldn't have done too much better. You got one of the best defensive players in the draft, and I'm going to leave it at that. Sometimes I don't got to say too much because there's not much that needs to be said. Going down at 6 here, Paris Johnson Jr., offensive tackle from Ohio State. Another good pickup. The Cardinals did what they needed to do. They need to protect the guy they're paying millions of dollars. Don't have too much to say there. And same thing for the Raiders. I think the Raiders, they got a good defensive end. If you can't get Will Anderson Jr., this is your second best option. But here's where things start to get dicey. Picks number 8 through 12. At number 8, we got Bijan Robinson. Most people are going to say, Matt, what are you talking about? Bijan Robinson at 8? This guy's a insane running back. And me, myself, I've compared him to Adrian Peterson. But we all know this. If you keep up with football, you got to know. Taking a running back in the first round, that is a big no-no. Especially taking him at number 8, it is risky because running back is the easiest position to replace in the NFL. It's just not that important. I saw a lot of people saying, hey, the Falcons, they got a bunch of other problems they probably should have addressed, and I agree. But I'm going to back up the Falcons on this because I think Bijan Robinson, he's that good. I don't think there's nothing wrong with this pick. It goes back to one of my golden rules, why I like this pick. If I'm selecting the top 15, I'm picking a guy that can play tomorrow and start or win me a game that day, and Bijan Robinson can do that. So no problems there. At number 9, we got the controversial one, Jalen Carter. We talked all about this leading up to the draft. He had all the red flags. It was just too much to even go over in this video. You know what I'm talking about. Red flags everywhere, but he still went in the top 10. I guess the Eagles didn't care about the red flags. They overlooked it, and hey, the Eagles love their Georgia players. We'll talk about that later as well. For Jalen Carter's NFL career, it concerns me. I wouldn't have picked this guy. I'm just highly concerned with his work ethic. I'm scared once you pay this guy, he's going to quit working. Because we saw it at Georgia. He had his own separate pro day there, and he showed up overweight and didn't even finish the drills. If a guy can't even show up to his pro day ready, that concerns me. Regardless of all the off-the-field problems, on the field, Jalen Carter's a flat-out monster. How would I grade that pick? I would say it's probably a C- in my book. Just because you're taking Jalen Carter, a guy with red flags, so high in the draft. Going down here, Darnell Wright, offensive tackle, no problems there. The Bears, you did what you needed to do. Same thing with the Cardinals. You got to protect your scrambling quarterback. And at number 11, you got Peter. Same thing, offensive tackles. You couldn't go wrong with either of those guys. But then right here, probably, yeah, not even a single doubt in my mind. This was the most controversial pick in the draft. The Detroit Lions picked Jahmyr Gibbs from Alabama. As an Alabama fan myself, I was like, hey, Jahmyr Gibbs at number 12? That's cool. Congratulations to him. I'm happy for him. But then I was like, wait a minute. I'm watching this live going, don't the Detroit Lions already have 2 good running backs? And yeah, they do. They already got DeAndre Swift and David Montgomery. What are they doing? But I tweeted this out and I firmly believe it. I know Jahmyr Gibbs going at 12 shocks a ton of people, but not me. This dude is worth it. He's NFL ready right now. Very similar play style to Alvin Kamara. Will make an immediate impact. Great pickup for the Lions. I stand by that 100% and I believe it 110%. I've been keeping up with Jahmyr Gibbs ever since he was at Georgia Tech. Not Alabama, Georgia Tech. And this dude is about as close as Alvin Kamara as you're going to get. And maybe, just a maybe in the future, he could be better. I may get some backlash for this, but in my humble opinion, Jahmyr Gibbs was running back 1 in this draft. I know, you're not going to like that, but that's how I believe. Only because Jahmyr Gibbs is so, and I mean so effective out of the backfield when it comes to catching passes as well. When it comes to who's a better running back, I would say it's Bijan Robinson. So I know what you're saying. Well, Matt, you're contradicting yourself here. How is Bijan Robinson a better running back, but Jahmyr Gibbs is your RB1 in the draft? Well, my friend, that's a great question, but I have an even better answer. Look at the NFL. I'm going to give you 2 quick examples that come to my mind. Tony Pollard and Alvin Kamara. The NFL is trending towards more of that speedy back that doesn't take a lot of punishing hits and he can catch passes out of the backfield, juke, do this, do that. Running backs for a lot of quarterbacks are almost like their fourth or fifth best wide receiver. So with that being said, I feel like Jahmyr Gibbs, he is a quarterback's dream. He's everything you want. I think whoever would have got this kid, you're getting an outstanding ball player, and he's underrated. Do I agree with the Lions taking him at number 12? Not exactly, but I think Jahmyr Gibbs is a great player, so I can't really fault the pick. I love Jahmyr Gibbs. I think it's amazing, but the Lions, did you really need another running back? Probably not. But here's the thing. Hey, you got another great running back and it's not going to hurt you. You're only going to benefit from getting a guy like this. Going on down here, picks 13 through 16 didn't really shock me. I think they're all decent pickups. But at number 17, what do you know? The Patriots they actually got a good player. I'm sorry, I'm hyperventilating here. I can't even believe this. I was expecting them to get some mailman from South Dakota State, but no, they got a stud. I don't even know how Christian Gonzalez fell this far in the draft, but he did. This is an A+. I can't remember the last time the Patriots had a great pickup in the first round. This has got to be some history. In most mock drafts out there, they had Christian Gonzalez going in the top 10 picks. Getting this guy at 17... match made in heaven. What a pickup for the Patriots. If I'm a Patriots fan, I'm jumping for joy. I might throw a party over this. But right after the Patriots pick, yet again, we got the Lions with a controversial pickup. I don't think it's a bad pickup, but a lot of people had Jack Campbell going in the second round. Regardless, they get an Iowa linebacker. Let me know how y'all feel about that. I don't want to say it's a bad pickup. I think he can be a Luke Kuechly type of linebacker, but most people didn't even have him coming off the board. The Lions were definitely more on the sketchier side, but it's the Lions. 19, not too much to say there, and at this point in time, I remember watching it. It was about at pick 17, 18. I'm going, wait a minute. What about the wide receivers? Because leading up to the draft, all these wide receivers are getting hyped up saying, hey man, we're going to have 3, 4, maybe 5 wide receivers come off the board in the first round. And we're sitting at picks 18, 19, and not even one went off the board. But here we go, like boom, 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 boom. 4 straight wide receivers went off the board from picks 20 to 24. Wide receiver 1, like I expected, he was my wide receiver 1 of the draft. Jackson Smith-Njigba, he's going to Seattle. Under that, Quentin Johnson, my wide receiver 2, he went to the Chargers. Outstanding pickup for Justin Herbert. I mean, Justin Herbert, he likes these tall wide receivers. This is good. The Ravens, they're helping out the big-time money man, Lamar Jackson. Congratulations to Lamar finally inking that deal. They got Jordan Addison. Actually, my bad, Matt, you idiot. They got Zay Flowers. The Vikings, my apologies, they got Jordan Addison. You can make a legit case and argument that Zay Flowers was wide receiver 1 in this NFL draft. Not for me, but most people had him really high. He had one of the fastest 40-yard dashes. For these picks, 20 through 24, that's B pluses, A minuses all around the board. Solid picks. I mean, you didn't go really high to get them, and you could argue and say that all these wide receivers taking where they're at, those are some steals. I like all these wide receivers, and to be honest, there's not a huge difference in any of them, so no matter what team you are, no matter who you're a fan of, you can't go wrong with any of these 4 guys. I truly believe that. And as we continue to go down here, ending out the first round, at number 27, this was a notable pickup. I love this pickup. The Cowboys, they got Mozzie Smith. Keep your eyes on this. I got a feeling like that dude, he could be special one day. I just got a feeling. Keep your eyes on that one. At number 29, 30, we're going back-to-back with Clemson defensive players. Miles Murphy, he went at 29, and Brian Brees went at 30. And then last but not least, to wrap up the draft, we got Nolan Smith, match made in heaven. I'm so happy for him. This is perfect. Nolan Smith, he's going to the Eagles. If you've been keeping up with the pre-draft process and all this stuff, this was almost known. Everybody kind of felt like if Nolan Smith was on the board at 31, he was going to go to the Eagles, and it happened. This is a perfect fit. He is going to fit in right away with them. And to be honest, I think getting Nolan Smith at 31 is an absolute steal. This guy at one point in time was at I think it was number 1, 2, 3 prospect coming out of high school. I could sit up here and talk for 10 minutes about Nolan Smith. I love everything about him. Dude was a baller at Georgia as well. He's going to fit in just fine. He's also teaming back up with his other teammate, Jalen Carter, who got taken off the board at number 9. And last but not least, I do want to give some recognition because I thought this was cool. A Kansas State player got drafted by the Kansas City Chiefs in Kansas City. It doesn't get too much better than that. You couldn't have ended off this draft in a better way. That is the entire first round. I know it was a lot. And as far as it goes for his NFL draft, I'm going to say this was the least, is this the right wordage? Yeah. This was the least craziest one. You get what I'm trying to say. This was not a crazy NFL draft. There wasn't a lot of chaos. There wasn't a lot of trading. There wasn't a no-name quarterback that got taken in the top 10. None of that. When we're sitting up here saying that the most controversial pick was Jahmyr Gibbs at number 12 to the Lions, that should go to tell you that there wasn't too much really going on. And weirdly enough, this is one of the very few NFL drafts where I feel like no team really did bad. Because normally in these NFL drafts, teams either do really good, really bad, but everyone seemed to do good. It doesn't matter who you're a fan of, you shouldn't be disappointed in what happened. That's how I feel about it. Let me know in the comment section though, how are you feeling about it? Whoa, hold on. You thought I forgot? Heck no, I didn't forget. We gotta talk about the main topic of the main encore, the main reason you clicked onto this video, and that is for no other than Will Levis. Oh man, you hate to see it. Good old Will Levis, undrafted. According to the ESPN analytics, there was a 92% chance that he was going to be selected in the top 10. What is this? What does this have to do with anything? If he wasn't racist today, he sure is now. Where did that come from? I don't even know. I'm scrolling through some of these comments and they're crazy. Let's get down to the nitty and gritty. I guess everyone out here is going to be surprised and they're going to be shocked by this, but I'm not. And if you've been watching my videos for the past 2 years, I've been talking about this dude, Will Levis. You shouldn't be shocked either. I've been trying to tell y'all that Will Levis, he ain't that good of a quarterback. But for some odd reason, nobody wanted to believe me. Or maybe you did want to believe, but for some odd reason, I guess people around the country, they just didn't want to believe me. And here's a conversation y'all ain't ready for. He's not even the best available quarterback in this draft. That's Hendon Hooker. I still have Hendon Hooker ahead of Will Levis. I'm not going to sit up here and clown the man like everybody else because I know there's going to be plenty of that in the comment section. I'm here to give you the cold hard facts as to why he went undrafted. Reason number one as to why he went undrafted. He's not great. He's good. That's reason number one, but that's just my opinion, and I wanted to state it. Now let's get into the cold hard facts. I always like cold hard facts. I always like stats numbers because you can't dispute them. You can't say I'm wrong because they're facts. Men lie, women lie, but numbers never lie. At Kentucky in 2021, not the most recent season, but in 2021, he completed 66% of his passes. Not too shabby. That's pretty good. He had nearly 3,000 passing yards with 24 touchdowns, but here we go. 13 INTs. Why did he have 13 interceptions? He's a gunslinger. He's reckless with the ball. He has a lot of turnovers. In the most recent season, though, fast forward in time, here was my biggest problem with Will Levis. He didn't get better. As a matter of fact, you could argue and say he got worse. The problem I had with Will Levis this entire college football season is everybody was telling me how much he's going to improve. He's going to be a top 10 NFL draft pick. And he didn't get too much better from 2021. That is always one of the biggest red flags in any player, whether you're talking about baseball, basketball, or football. If you look at their stats season by season, and they don't, it don't even got to be drastically, but if you don't slightly improve from their previous years, that's concerning. Because at that point in time, it has shown me you have reached your peak. You've maxed out. You're not going to get too much better. But let me show you these numbers. And like I said, carbon copy paste, and you could argue and say he got worse. His completion percentage dropped only 0.6%, but the point is it didn't get better. It dropped to 65.4. Passing yards decreased, but he sat out a couple games. Had 2,400 passing yards, 19 my bad. 19 touchdowns to 10 INTs. But also remember, he sat out a couple of games, so he was really on pace to throw 13, 14, 15 interceptions. Do want to throw in there for the people that just keep up with numbers. About 3, 4, maybe 5 of those interceptions were off of deflections. But still, there was also a couple passes here and there where they dropped them and they could have been interceptions. And you can take the interceptions off if you want to. That's fine. But look at his QBR. 60.9. I mean, what are we talking about here? 60.9 QBR? That was 59th best in the country. Mediocre. There is nothing, and let me repeat this, nothing about this young man that screams out to me NFL starter. With Bryce Young, yeah, I see it. With CJ Stroud, I see it. With Anthony Richardson, potential-wise, I see it. With Hendon Hooker, I see it. But with Will Levis, I don't. And for that reason alone, that's why teams weren't jumping out of their seats to go get this guy. Teams don't feel like if they don't get him, they're going to regret it. Whereas if you don't get a Bryce Young, if you don't get a CJ Stroud, or you don't get an Anthony Richardson, you feel like in 5 years from now, it could be one of the biggest mistakes you make. With Will Levis, the problem is a lot of these scouts, a lot of these NFL GMs and teams, they feel like he's not going to get too much better. And the problem with that is, he's already not that great. Sure, he has a rocket launcher of an arm. He has a cannon, but he's not very accurate, and he's reckless, and he doesn't process defenses as well as Bryce Young. So all in all, let's process this. Let's just take a look at everything. He doesn't process things well. He's not a freak athlete. He's not insanely accurate. He's very reckless, has a lot of turnovers. I could continue to go on and on. Those are some bad character traits to have. Or not character traits, my bad, quarterback traits. I wish I could sit up here and say I have some inside source and knowledge on this guy, but I don't. It's plain and simple. I've told you guys this for the past 2 years. Will Levis ain't that good. He's mediocre. He shows flashes every now and then of being good or great, but not very consistent. Now, as far as it goes for all these people hyping him up and telling him he was going to be a first-round pick, he was going to be a top 10 NFL pick, that is a shame. I don't know why they told him this. I don't know why they hyped him up, because it doesn't make sense. What were you justifying that off of? At least when I said, hey, I don't believe he's a first-round quarterback, I had facts to back it up. You didn't have any facts, and when I say you, I'm talking about, I guess, the media. The media didn't have any facts trying to say that he was going to be a top 10 NFL draft pick. He'll wind up getting selected somewhere in the second or third round, and he could be good one day, but I don't know why people tried to hype him up as a first-round lock to be a top 10 NFL quarterback. I am curious, though. Let me know your thoughts down below, but